Welcome to this explainer on the 3 a.m. survival protocol. Today, we're popping the hood on your biology to figure out exactly why your body decides to pull a massive fire alarm when you're just trying to get some sleep. Let's jump right in. So, why do you always seem to wake up right around 3:17 a.m.? You absolutely know the exact feeling we're talking about here. Your house is completely silent, the whole world outside is fast asleep, but suddenly, bam, your eyes just snap open. You look over at the clock and it's 3:17 a.m. And you aren't just awake. Actually, scratch that. You are deeply, uncomfortably alert and your heart is practically thumping against your ribs. It leaves you feeling like you're literally ready to fight a tiger right there in your living room. It gives you this bizarre, buzzing sense of anxiety. And you're just staring up at the ceiling, feeling kind of like an idiot. Because you can't just simply relax and drift back off. But listen, I want to shatter a major myth right now. Your brain isn't broken, you aren't just getting older, and honestly, you aren't actually stressed about your daily to-do list. The truth? You are experiencing a full-blown physiological fight or flight response. What feels like emotional anxiety is in reality your body executing a high-stakes chemical rescue mission, and it's being triggered right inside your liver. To get why this happens, we've got to talk about a biological mechanism known as the cortisol flush. Think of it as a pure emergency survival mechanism. See, while you sleep, your blood sugar naturally starts to drop. But your brain? Your brain is a total glucose hog. It demands a massive amount of fuel, even when you're completely unconscious. If it senses that your blood sugar is dropping too fast, it panics. Your adrenal glands fire off a massive surge of cortisol and adrenaline to literally force your liver to dump its stored glucose back into your bloodstream. Let's look at how this whole thing builds throughout the night. Picture this. At 10 p.m., you have a heavy, carb-loaded meal or maybe a sugary snack right before bed. By 1 a.m., that blood sugar crashes hard. By 3 a.m., your glucose-starved brain slams the panic button because it legitimately thinks you are running out of energy to survive. So the signal goes out, the adrenals fire, and by 3:17 a.m., that massive surge of adrenaline has snapped you wide awake with a racing mind. Ironically, your body thinks it just saved your life. And because the brain senses this as a life-threatening emergency, we're not just talking about losing a few hours of sleep. This massive surge of adrenaline creates a very specific, totally false anxiety that brilliantly disguises itself as a panic over your daily to-do list. And worse still, this recurring biological panic can absolutely melt your metabolism over time. It literally tells your body to store that emergency energy right around your midsection as belly fat. Okay, so the million-dollar question, how do we actually stop this nocturnal alarm? How do we flip that chemical switch safely back to off so you can finally wake up feeling refreshed instead of puffy, exhausted, and super stressed out? The answer is what we call the pre-sleep protocol. It's a straightforward 4-step system. Establish the safety anchor, enforce a strict fasting window, avoid the light trap, and create a mental off-ramp. By doing this, we stop relying on willpower and start biologically signaling safety to a frightened metabolism. Step 1 is the safety anchor. About 30 minutes before bed, you're going to take a tiny teaspoon of raw honey along with a small pinch of high-quality sea salt. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird for a pre-sleep routine, but the biological function here is profound. The raw honey tops off the tank, providing a steady, slow-burning stream of liver glycogen that completely stops your brain from panicking in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, that pinch of sea salt actively lowers adrenaline, manages fluid balance, and literally anchors your nervous system. Step 2 comes down to one absolutely crucial number, 3. You need to enforce a strict 3-hour fasting window before you go to sleep, meaning no calories exactly 3 hours before your head hits that pillow. During those 3 hours, you want to stick strictly to water or maybe some herbal tea. Why? Because when you go to bed with an empty, settled stomach, your blood sugar stays incredibly stable all night long. You completely sidestep those late-night insulin spikes that inevitably lead to those emergency cortisol dumps at 3 a.m. Step 3 is all about avoiding the light trap. See, right behind your eyes is a tiny master clock, and its operation is beautifully yet frustratingly simple. It literally only understands the language of light. If you're staring at bright screens and blue light from your phone right before bed, your master clock mistakes that artificial light for high noon. It artificially keeps your cortisol elevated and totally suppresses your melatonin. The fix here is creating a digital sunset 2 hours before sleep. Dim the lights, switch to warm amber tones, and send a biological safety signal to your brain that the day is in fact finally over.
And that brings us to step 4, which targets something psychologists like to call open loops. These are the unfinished tasks, the unanswered emails, or those unsolved problems that just keep your cognitive engine revving hot late into the night. If you don't close these loops, your brain stays on high alert.
To close them out, we use the 5-minute brain dump. Now, you have to use a physical pen and paper for this. No way around it, absolutely no phones allowed. Just take 5 minutes before bed to physically write down your to-do list for tomorrow or any problem you're chewing on. By doing this physically, you're biologically signaling to your brain that this crucial info is captured and perfectly safe. When you actually implement these 4 steps, the physiological results are honestly incredible. The biological gas pedal lifts, the brake pedal finally engages, and your cortisol drops down to exactly where it should be. Your body drops its defenses so that deep, restorative rest finally returns. At that point, it's no longer about forcing yourself to sleep. It's just about outsmarting your frightened metabolism. Now, I want to see who's really serious about taking back their night. If this explainer helped you understand your own biology better, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and jump down into the comments to type "I am sleeping" if you're going to try the safety anchor tonight. Let's see who's ready to take control. Finally, I want to leave you with a thought that kind of changes everything. If your intense 3 a.m. anxiety is really just a chemical cry for metabolic help from your liver, well, that completely shifts how we view our health, doesn't it? It forces us to ask, what other mental struggles or daily stressors in our lives are simply misunderstood biological alarms just waiting to be turned off? Think about that today. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next explainer.